Aaron Murray for CBS Sports Network dropping on by. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me this morning.
My pleasure, buddy. Thanks so much for carving out time for us. And let's start with that situation. Do you think we've got a train a-rumbling that we'll have a one-loss Notre Dame team knocking on the door, or do you think this will sort itself out? Notre Dame will get that second loss, and thus we wouldn't worry about them.
Yeah, you never know. These types of, I remember my junior season, we were watching. We were at a one-loss at that point. This was before the playoffs. Obviously, Alabama was undefeated, and we needed another team to lose to give us a shot to be able to play the national championship. And Oregon ended up losing, I think, the second to last week of the season. So there's still a lot of football to play for everyone. I mean, even Alabama has some tough games. They have to go to Auburn. You look at Notre Dame, they have to play versus NC State, at Miami, at Stanford. They got to play Navy, and that triple option is always a pain in the butt to deal with. So they have a long road ahead. So, you know, they definitely should be favored. I think the only game they won't be favored in is going at Miami. But they're a very talented team. But they have the opportunity to lose 2 games out of those last 5 games. So you never know what could happen. The end of the season always gets a little tricky, a little exciting. Everyone's always trying to plan ahead and have their prediction for the playoffs. But sometimes you just got to let it unfold and see what happens.
Michigan gets pounded by Penn State on Saturday. Why do you think that Jim Harbaugh has been unable to win the games against the top-tier opponents in his tenure there?
I think, especially this year, we knew Michigan heading into the season was a young football team, a team that was kind of rebuilding this year, trying to get back to where they need to go. So I wasn't expecting them to win these type of games, these big rivalry games with talented teams. And the one thing he does need to do is he just needs to get some offensive guys. They really don't have any studs, too many studs on the offensive side of the football. They haven't been able to score all season. But I still think he does a great job recruiting. He's exciting in the recruiting game. Kids love him. I know me personally. He recruited me back when I was coming out, and he was by far one of my favorite coaches. I mean, just a passionate coach, loved the game, loved his team, believed in it. So, I mean, if he wasn't all the way on the West Coast, I might have considered going to Stanford. It's a little too far from home for me. But, he, like I said, he'll build that thing up right, and he'll be ready to rock and roll come next year when these young guys have some game experience.
Aaron Murray, one of the great quarterbacks in SEC history, one of the great quarterbacks in Georgia Bulldogs history. Member of the CBS Sports Network analyst team joins us this morning here on the show. Can Penn State win the national championship?
I don't think they can win the national championship. I think they have a great chance to obviously get into the playoffs. I think they're playing at an extremely high level right now. Saquon Barkley, running back, I mean, he's everyone's Heisman favorite right now. He's going to be a top 5 draft pick in the draft if he stays healthy for the rest of the season. And if you're able to run the ball that well and dominate the line of scrimmage, you're going to create one-on-one opportunities on the outside. I think you saw it this week when they went up against Michigan. Michigan had to load the box. They had to play one-on-one. And then all of a sudden you're getting those inside fades, which Tracy McSorley was just throwing it left and right that entire time. So Tracy can continue to beat man-to-man coverage when teams load the box to stop the run. It's going to be very difficult for teams to stop this offense.
Okay, so why don't you think, though? What are they lacking in terms of trying to win a championship?
The thing I like, and I just think these Alabamas, the Georgias, obviously I'm an SEC guy. I just think the SEC, the bigger, faster, stronger guys, they just got better teams. They're better coached. And I think that's the biggest at the end of the day. I think James Franklin's a great coach. I just think Nick Saban he's on a different level than everyone else. And when he has a great team, which he does offensively and defensively, I think then you look at the coaching, and he just has more experience, more knowledge, and that's what it comes down to a lot when you just have better coaching.
Do you think that Kirby Smart's a better coach than James Franklin?
I do. I do think he's a better coach, and to get a team in his second year and be doing what he's doing at Georgia, I think he's building an absolute powerhouse right now. And I know I obviously sound a little biased because I went to Georgia, but the way he's recruiting, the way he's getting those guys to play out there, and I think it's the mindset. He has that Alabama mindset for these Georgia players where they're not going into games right now thinking we have a shot to win or this is going to be a close game. They're going to every single game saying, hey, we're going to win this game. We're going to blow this team out of the water. We don't care if they're unranked, if they're ranked number 5 in the country. We're just going to knock them out. So they have the talent, they have the mindset, and I think Kirby's a phenomenal coach.
Oklahoma and Oklahoma State both got scares on the road. Now, they both could end up at the college football playoff if they win out. They're a one-loss champion out of the Big 12. But do we look at their Saturday wins, both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, as resiliency and toughness? Or do we say, boy, that's a possible problem there, that they were both taken to the mat against unranked foes?
I mean, first of all, looking at Oklahoma, the defense hasn't been there all season. They've been relying on Baker Mayfield, and I love watching this kid play. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He can pass the ball well. He can run the ball well. He's right up there with Saquon as my two Heisman favorites for this season. The problem is they just have no defense. If they had any type of defense to stop these offenses, they would be undefeated right now and would be maybe number 3, number 14 in the country. So I feel like Oklahoma, if they can somehow find a way to play a little bit better defense, they have plenty of weapons on the offensive side of the football. For Oklahoma State, I definitely think it's a huge scare, especially going against a Texas team that defensively has been up and down this season. They've had a couple of games good defensively, but this Oklahoma State team is built to score a lot of points. They have a lot of talent at the quarterback position, at the receiving position. So a little scary that they only put up 13 points against Texas. But at the end of the day, when you get into these big rivalry games, a win's a win, and you just got to move on from it.
Aaron Murray joins us from CBS Sports Network. What happened at LSU? They looked so bad, especially in that loss to Troy. It looked like all was lost, and they haven't lost since, and they've beaten some ranked foes, and they've gone on the road and won again, this time at Ole Miss. Tell me what flipped for LSU this season.
Well, first off, Ole Miss isn't a great football team, so we knew LSU was going to go in there and roll those guys. They can't stop anyone in the run game. But flipping over, like you said, LSU right now, I think offensively you're seeing these guys starting to pick up Matt Canada, the new offensive coordinator, picking up his system, understanding what he's trying to do offensively. And then also Darius Geis, he's getting healthier every single game. I mean, he went out there this past weekend, rushed for 276 yards, I think over 12 yards to carry. You're going to win any football game when you run the ball that well. And then Denny Etling at quarterback, a guy who I wasn't really high on at the beginning of the season. He's starting to finally start opening up. He's throwing the ball well, threw for a couple of touchdowns this past week. And then defensively, they're a young defense, and those guys are also getting better every single week as well. So this is a dangerous team right now going into the second half of the season. They still have to play Alabama, and Alabama definitely has to watch out for those guys because they are a tough team. They're a fun team to watch defensively and how offensively they're putting it together.
World's largest outdoor cocktail party coming up on Saturday. Georgia taking on Florida in Jacksonville. SEC on CBS Game of the Week. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern with college football today. Before I let you go, do you think Georgia has what it takes to go to Auburn and win? Because that looms as maybe the biggest game left on their schedule in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at their schedule. First off, they have to still go to Alabama, which is going to be to Auburn, which is going to be a tough place to play, a tough team to play, and then they have to play Georgia Tech, and it's always tricky playing that triple option. They lost to Georgia Tech last year, so hopefully they'll get that monkey off their back. But you look at this Florida team right now; they're just not very good. Their defense is decent, but offensively, it's just a cluster over there. Felipe Franks is a young guy who has been extremely hot, extremely cold. He looks great at times, big kid, big arm. All of a sudden, he'll throw in triple coverage, and you're just like, what is he doing? So I see Georgia going in there, rolling early, scoring a lot, and then for Florida, I just don't see them being able to put much points on the board.
Aaron Murray, college football analyst, CBS Sports Network, one of the greats in college football quarterbacking history in the SEC and the Georgia Bulldogs program, is going to be on the call Saturday when Air Force takes on Colorado State. And then, as I mentioned, the SEC on CBS Game of the Week is the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Georgia and Florida Bulldogs look to keep it rolling in their undefeated win column, looking good. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, college football today. Aaron, always good to catch up, buddy. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.